Hello, this is going to be me demoing Audacity to do some audio recording and noise reduction, editing, fading, that type of stuff. For anyone who is taking 2010, MTEL 2010, or I guess other classes where you need to do audio editing. For the podcast, some of the podcasts that we've been looking at or listening to, I guess, have been there's been some noise or some audio levels haven't been around the same or whatever, so I'm going to show how to mess with all that type of stuff. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm doing this completely unrehearsed, so we'll see how it goes. Guess the screen is good. Okay, my desktop, I'm going to launch Audacity. Oh, I should say, before we get here, if you go to open up a web browser and you look for Audacity to download, um, it's full of crapware. So like if you click on this button, it's going to want you to install this thing called Muse Hub. You have to pay for it, and you don't want to do that. Audacity itself is free, so you don't want to like pay for anything. I suggest just skipping all this and scrolling all the way down to the bottom until you get to the download section. Windows and Mac are probably what you have. Pick one of those things. Once you click on that, you get this screen. And again, the default, or not the default, but the one that has the highlighted blue button to download, still has this, thing that they want you to pay for and everything. So forget this and just go for the 64-bit installer. Um, if you're using a modern computer, if your computer is more than 10 years old, then you might need to get the 32-bit installer, but chances are this fine. So click on that. It'll start a download. It'll want you to do all this bullshit and basically just ignore all this. Um, and instead just, you know, once you've downloaded it, you run it. Um, and that installer should just be fine. Everything. And I have like, this is a university computer, so it needs permission and all that stuff. So I'm gonna ignore all that. I've already installed it, but that's how you get it. So I'm gonna close that. So you've just launched Audacity. You have a window that looks like this. Um, let's say you haven't yet recorded. So to record in here, what you want to do first thing when you open this, there's a bunch of buttons up at the top here. One of the things that you need to do at the beginning is to make sure your audio setup is set up right. There's like this little triangle down triangle, drop down triangle. Click on that. And you can mess around with your playback devices and recording devices. Playback is like, if you're wearing a headset or just make sure it's coming out the right thing. Oh, for me, it's not actually. I should switch this to that. And then recording device, if you're using a headset or an external microphone, just make sure that's set up correctly. I'm going to switch this to that. Yeah, that should be correct. Then when you hit record, this is the record button right here. Um, just start talking. Hello, this is my Audacity demo. This is like, let's say, I'm doing a podcast on how to edit audio. Okay. Stop that, and then you can listen to that, see how it sounds. Talking, hello, my Audacity demo. This is like, let's say, I'm doing a podcast on how to edit audio. Okay. All right. So one thing that's immediate that I notice immediately. So it does this visualizer of the waveform, right, of the audio and the frequencies and all that stuff, and the volume of the audio and everything. It looks like my webcam microphone is capturing my is recording at a lower volume than ideal. Um, you can do stuff like mess around with the hardware and input levels and stuff like that, go into Windows, change the input levels and all that stuff. Or what's probably easier is to just edit it in Audacity and normalize them. Before I do that, though, I'm going to record another. I'm going to move this playback here, record another section. Oops, get rid of that. Uh, get rid of this. I don't know if that does anything. Okay, I'm just gonna record another thing to append to this, but this time I'm gonna, what should I do? I'm gonna move closer to the camera so it'll be louder. Okay, so this should be louder. Oh, it looks like I put it over there. All right, you can definitely tell just by looking at the waveform that it's louder. Okay, bye. All right, so stop that. And so this timeline view, if you've used like Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve to do video editing or some sort of video editor, then this timeline view probably looks familiar to you, except this time it's just audio. Um, Up here, sort of in the middle, well, I have a 4K monitor, so all the buttons and all the menus and everything is over here on the top left. If you're using a smaller monitor and everything, this stuff here normally appears like in the middle of your screen, like if you're using a 1080p monitor or something like that. But anyways, these magnifying glasses here control the view of this timeline. So you can do stuff like you can click on this one to just have it fit the whole length of the audio recording to the width of the screen, or you can zoom in, zoom out. You can also select a portion and click on that to zoom to just that portion. So I'm going to zoom out. I guess I'll fit the screen. And I guess I had the setting like, oops, right around here. And when I hit audio, it sort of recorded that. So I'm going to move that. Um, should be able to just grab it and move it over. Um, this these in and out. This is to set the like where you want the playback to loop. So if you wanted to, for example, just play this section over and over again, you would grab these things and set that up like that. And that's what that's doing. So like then when you hit play, it's gonna loop just that part, right? Um, so I guess we can ignore that. So anyways, I have got these two audio files back to back right now. Um, and if we listen to this, okay, so this should be louder. Oh, it looks like I put it over there. All right, you can definitely tell just by looking at the way. All right, so again, you can tell just by looking at it that this is louder than this, right? Um, when you are doing editing and you want to make the different parts of all your recordings and everything, or all your separate recordings sound about the same level, one way to do that is to do what's called normalize. And It's a filter that you can apply to audio clips that will basically analyze the whole thing, pick the thing that's like the highest loudness, the highest volume. So look at these peaks here. Set the highest one to whatever value you set it. Typically, you want to do like zero point 0.8 or zero point 0.9 on this scale here. Um, and then it'll proportionally adjust all the rest of the audio. So if we did it for this clip here, so I just selected that, going up to here, the effect, going to volume and compression, and just go to normalize. Um, I believe this panel here is showing the default, -1 dB. Um, yeah, this looks right to me. So hit apply. It shrunk everything down a little bit, so the top peak here should be at 0.9 or so, which is at -1, I believe. And um, you can do the same thing for this clip here. Now the two are much closer in terms of their volume. How to edit audio, how to edit audio, how to edit audio. Okay, stop. Okay, so this should be louder. Oh, it looks like I put it over. Okay, so obviously the quality is different because of my distance to the mic was different and all that stuff. But anyways, you can play around with these things. This clip here is talking. Hello, this is my Audacity. Louder and it's closer to this one now, right? Um, there's a tendency for people, so I just did all that. I did them separately. At first I did this one, then I did this one. Sometimes your tendency is to, I'm gonna undo all this. Undo, undo, undo. Okay. Okay. So these are the two sources without normalizing. Sometimes people are tempted to basically select the whole thing. So select the whole thing, right? And then do normalize. The problem with doing that is, again, it looks at the highest thing and then it proportionally adjusts everything. So it just adjusted this one and this one, but this one over on the left-hand side is now adjusted as if it was part of the right-hand side clip, right? Because I just selected both of them. And which isn't what you want to do because this over on the left-hand side is too low and everything. So you actually would need to do each clip separately or each source separately. Like maybe you have, you've done one recording of yourself in a studio environment or in your, I don't know, dorm room or whatever. And that's all one level, one recording, even if you're chopping it up and everything. And then you have another recording where you're interviewing somebody or something like that, and you're at a different location, and you're taking that and then inserting it in between your thing. So actually, I can do a demo of that. So like let's say this audio file right around here, you want to um, basically like chop it up, right? Uh, Chopping up in Audacity. Oh, actually, I don't remember how to do this. So I'm gonna discover how to do it with you all. I think it's cut. Okay, so I just hit Control C, Control X, or I basically just went up here and hit cut. I think that has added, no, I'm wrong. A cut there. Let's see. Hmm, it should be one. Okay. Apologize, I haven't done this in a while. I think you can also just right, oh, split clip. Okay, I'm gonna go back to where I was. Stop that. Um, right click, do split clip, and that will now make it so that there's two clips. So let's say I want that part, then I want this thing, and then I want that. Move that over. Actually, I'm gonna create a new track. So I just right clicked in this, blank area, I'll add stereo track. I'm gonna grab this and move it down. Um, So I'll move that there, and then I'll move this guy over here, and maybe like this is just me moving in the chair and all that stuff, so we don't actually need that. So I'm going to move this over here. And actually, we could just delete that. Okay, move that back. All right, so this is, let's say, you're talking in your dorm, you're talking in your dorm, but in between you want to include the interview or whatever that you did, right? So then you would, mess around with it in this way, right? And actually, let's just normalize these guys. I wonder if I should do it separate. No, actually, so before I cut this, I probably should have normalized it first. Um, so I'm gonna do that. Just select it all. Start talking. Like that or so. Normalize. Okay, so it's where I want it. Move this guy over. Move this guy over. Oops. Um, and actually, let's just cut all this out too. I'm just hitting delete to cut. So let's say this is the thing. Start talking. Hello, blah, blah, blah. My Audacity demo. Okay. Blah, so blah, this should be louder. Oh, this is too loud. There. Definitely tell just by looking at the waveform that it's louder. Okay, fine. This is like, let's say, louder. Podcast. I think I'm too loud here, that's when my mouth is really close to the microphone. So let's actually just lower this part. Um, there's a bunch of different effects you can use. I tend to like normalize just because um I don't know, it's just what I'm used to, but you could do amplify. You can also go amplify then if you put in a negative number, then it reduces. So let's put in like negative, I don't know, see what. Okay, so that's probably more in line with the rest of it. Okay, so this should be louder. Oh, looks like, oh, this is my Audacity demo. Okay, so this should be loud. Whatever. So let's say this is where you want, right? Um, then we want to add, so anyway, so if you're working on your own thing and like one portion of your thing is way too loud, one portion is way too soft, or whatever, just mess around with these amplification or normalized settings and everything. Um, we want you to add music and sound effects as well. So let's just like, I'm just gonna pull up the website. The one that we thought was good was Pixabay. Seems like you don't have to log in or anything like that to grab stuff. So we want let's sound effects. So let's do like I don't know door closing or something like that. Um and listen to some of these guys. We're just gonna have the first one. Okay, we want this one. I'm gonna download this guy. While we're here, I'm also gonna go and I guess forget all that. Click on sound effects, change it to music, and do like, I don't know, intro or something like that. Podcast intro. Okay, let's say we like that one. All right, I'll download that too. Uh, yeah, that actually work. Yeah, okay. So go back to Audacity. I don't know what the error message was, so just ignore it. In here, in Audacity, actually, you can just open up your file browser in your OS and oops, that's Discord. And grab your file, your OS thing, go to where you download. You can just drag and drop into Audacity. So I'll do that with the music and with the sound effect. So let's in here. So notice I have to scroll up and down in order to see everything. And that's kind of a pain in the ass. You can just resize these things. So like you can move this up, um, like that. I think there's a way, like in Excel and Google Sheets, how you can sort of double click a column and it'll automatically adjust and everything. I think there's a way to do it in here too, but I don't know what the shortcut way of doing that is. But anyways, so we've got this. You can also, so if I hit play here, okay. So there's just a lot of stuff going on, right? Because there's music happening, there's me talking, and there's a sound effect immediately. Let's say we want to add the sound effect between these two things. I'll move that, adjust that a little bit, move the sound over here instead. And actually, I'm gonna move the music down to the bottom just so I can see these a little better. Um, so let's say we want the sound there, we want this guy around there, this guy around there. Um, I'm going to click mute on the music just so that I can preview what it sounds like without the music going on. Move back up here, hit play. Talking, hello, this is my Audacity demo. Okay, so this should be louder. Oh, looks. Okay, so we've got the sound effect and all that stuff. So let's say that's like how you want it and everything. You can do stuff like you can overlay them, right? Um, you know, and have something more like that. Start talking. Hello, this is my Audacity demo. Okay, So this should right. So mess around with the timing and all that stuff of your sound effects or whatever. And then go here, unmute this and see if the music sounds okay. Just fucking low. Okay, we want that intro. Let's say we want this intro and then the audio, right, of the voice. So let's move everything. I think you can um select everything. So what I did was I clicked on the sort of blank area here in the left to select the whole track, and I hit shift select to or shift click to select more than one. And I think what you do that you can move. Oh, I'm wrong. I thought once you did that, oh, I guess I accidentally select. Yeah, once you do that, then you can select everything and move it together. In like Premiere and DaVinci and stuff like that, you can link these um, like how you would in like Photoshop, linking different layers. I'm not sure how to do that in Audacity. There's probably a way to do it, but let's say we won't figure it out yet right now. But anyways, so let's say that's what we want. Let's see what that sounds like. Fucking low. Okay. This should be. Oh wow. The door slamming happens right around when that beat drops. That's coincidental, but actually pretty kind of cool. Um, I'm gonna zoom in there and see if we can actually line that up a little bit better. Um, and this is right, is this thing right here, right? Okay. Yeah, okay. So let's move this sound effect, make the peaks of the waveform at around the same place. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay. Okay. You can't even hear the door anymore. But anyways, okay, let's say this is what you like. And you think the music is too loud. Like so right around here, you want the music to start fading, right? Um, you can go up here in the sort of selection right now. This the insert character icon, I guess, is right here. You to the right of that is this envelope tool. You click on that, and then you can add. I don't know. I don't know if you can see this in the Zoom recording, but like there's like these. The cursor has changed into these like a little white arrow pointing down and a little white arrow pointing up. So they're pointing next against each other like this. And you can click somewhere in this waveform and it'll create like these tiny little white dots. And you can click like one there and like you can click again here. Um, and what that allows you to do is once you have those little white dots, you can grab the dots and move them up and down to change the volume of the rest of the track. So we're going to reduce the volume, um, you know, and maybe we want it a little bit louder to begin with, and see what that sounds like. Fucking low. Okay, so this should be louder. Oh, it looks like a third. All right, so maybe this fade should start happening earlier, and this reduction should happen sooner, like around there. Fucking low. Okay, so this should be louder. Okay, so let's say that's how you want it, right? And you can add more of these little envelope little dots and everything. So like let's say after this you want the music to increase again. So you add like a start point to the fade and an end point to the fade and then grab the little dot and move it back up, like that. And so, you know, that's how you would basically adjust volume on a different track and everything. Okay, let's cut this also. So I'm gonna go back to the selection tool. You want the music to end, I don't know, let's say I'm gonna arbitrarily pick right there. So from there on, you don't want any of that, and that's where your recording is gonna end. Um, and I guess let's just see what that sounds like. Okay. Um, I don't know. Maybe you actually want to fade down instead of up, just play around with it, right? So let's say this is what you want. Um, you can, if you save this, all it does is save a cloud or don't do this because it's going to ask you for an account and all this other stuff. So it's just saved to your computer. Give it whatever name you want. Hey, well, okay, so don't just name it hey. Like good file name hygiene would be like actually informative. So like for this class, maybe it'd be MTL 2010 podcast, and then throw your name on there or something like that. And this would be a rough cut, maybe. So hit save. And then that's just a project file. And so it isn't, and actually I probably shouldn't have put rough cut in the project file name. But um, you need to get that audio file to the rest of us. So you actually need to export this, and you can go to File and Export Audio, and it'll create an MP3 file. Again, choose your computer. There's all these different options and everything. MP3 is good. Stereo is good. 48,000 is good. Make sure you put it somewhere where you remember. So I'm just throwing it on desktop. Hit export, and it should take a little while. There's no visual indication of whether it's finished, unless that's this thing right here. Um, so let's just go to the desktop and see if it's already done. What's this? Um, oh, so it's done. Yeah, okay. Actually, I'm going to open this in a different editor for player, media player. Talking, hello, asking them out. Okay, so this should be loud. Okay, whatever, right? So this file is what you want to share with the rest of us. Basically, go to our, um, Google Drive, drive.google.com. Go to make sure you're logged into your App State email. Go to shared drives, select whichever class you're in, you know, our drives. Let's do it for this one. Um, Podcast battles, make sure you have your own folder, throw it into your folder, right? So, and to do that, you can basically just, go to your file system and you can just drag it in. It was this one, MP3, right? Another way of doing it is if you go up here and click on new, you can do file upload right there and browse to your file system and all that. That should be pretty good. I think that's all I need to cover. Let me know if you have any questions. Email me. If you've already done it, which a lot of you have, right? The rough cut already, but the audio levels just need fine tuning or whatever. I just showed you how to do that. Okay. Thank you. Stop share. Stop recording. Where stop recording? Stop. Hey y'all. I realized I forgot to do something in the Audacity demo, which is, let's say your recording is too bassy, like the actual audio quality, there's too much bass or low frequencies, or there's too much treble or high frequencies, or it just sounds like you're in a submarine, or it sounds like you're in this huge room or something like that. You can mess around with the different EQ levels. You can mess around with sort of the different uh, gain or lowering of specific frequencies or frequency ranges in the audio file to change all that type of stuff. And that's basically through the effects menu. I'm going to share my screen again, and luckily I didn't actually even close um, this whatchamacallit project. So I've got the same project going on, and let's say, so this was the second recording, remember? Okay, so this should be louder. Oh, let's, okay. So this should, I'm gonna mute the audio for now. I mean the sound, the music, sorry, for now. Okay. So this should be louder. Oh, look. So pretend that sounds way too like too low. Like in terms of the low beats, right? Like it's too bassy and everything. Um, this effect menu has a whole bunch of stuff you should just mess around with and play around with and everything. One of them is this EQ and filters, and you could do something like one way of doing it is going graphic EQ, and you can like play around with specific frequencies. Uh, this does the range of human hearing is about this 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So if we were to do something like this, for example, then a lot of the low frequencies would be reduced and a lot of and if we let's say let's throw these guys up or something like that, apply that to this thing and let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so this should be louder. Oh, it looks like I put it over there. All right. So it sounds um maybe more immediate, but maybe you don't like that distortion, just mess around with it, right? So, uh, and try to get, I would say it depends. If you are recording at different locations and it's important for the podcast, like, there's a room change or something like that, and the listener is supposed to know that you have recorded in two different contexts, then it doesn't matter that much if they sound dissimilar, right? But if you are recording separate sessions, but it's supposed to be like all in the same room or as if you recorded just one long take, then you might need to mess around with these to make them sound similar, right? So just play around with that. Another thing that I want to show you is pitch and tempo. Um, so one thing we were talking like for example, I think Harrison and Evan in the 103 section, we're talking about like how they speak slower than some other people do, and then the recording ends up being pretty long, and you can actually tighten that up. You can when you're on YouTube or whatever, you can set it to 1.25 speed, right? But you could also do it in the actual audio file. So let's say, like for example, let's say this section here is like the right tempo, and you're talking to somebody else, and all that's going great. But the first recording you did is actually a little bit too slow. You select that, go up to effect, go to pitch and tempo. And the pitch is like changing, it's like making, it doesn't change the speed, but it changes whether you sound like a chipmunk or you sound like Barry Manilow or whatever. Um, but the tempo is where you can actually change the amount of time the audio clip takes to play, which basically changes the speed, right? So if it's like a 20-minute thing and you actually want it to be more like 19 minutes, you can mess around with this and you won't get that much distortion if you don't do drastic changes. That makes sense? So percentage chance, let's change. So let's do like maybe 90%, um, and apply that. It does it really quick. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm going to undo and redo just so we can see change this thing here at the top left is what I changed. So undo that. So you can barely see it, but it did change a little bit. Um, and let's listen to that. Just start talking. Hello, this is my Audacity demo. Right. You can't even really tell that there was that big of a change. Um, So mess around with that, like um this actually works really well if you're doing like a let's play video where you're showing off like um someone playing a video game or something like that and then somebody else is doing a voiceover for it and like the voiceover recording maybe is too long for the visual of someone playing the game, and so you can make the voiceover um, happen faster. So then they're about the same length, and then you put them together and you have, the video, right, that you want to export. Um, I think that's all you really need to know. And again, there's so many things here that you can mess around with and play around with and everything. The EQ thing, so I just showed you the graphic equalizer, but you can also do these like low pass, high pass filter type of things um, to try to reduce noise and things like that. Oh, I didn't really show noise reduction. Maybe I should. Um, okay, I'm going to show you noise reduction because there are AI tools now that do this really, really well. But let's say you just want to do it quick and dirty in Audacity and everything. I don't know if there's a good example here. I might need to record a new thing. I'm going to record a new thing. Um, or I might put it back there. I'm just going to record. We need some noise, so I don't have a fan or anything like that. Um, I'm going to fake noise, okay? So we'll see how this goes. Hi, my name is Mark. All right. I'm not a beatboxer, so see how it goes. Hi, my name is Mark. All right. That's terrible. But pretend that actually I can make it. Let me do that. I'm gonna copy this, um, paste that sucker, throw it down here, and so now there's gonna be noise while hi, my name is Mark. All right. I just faked the noise sample. So like all this is noise. There's me saying hi, this is Mark, and there's still noise here going on because I just threw it in a different track, right? Um, let's say you don't want that noise. The way to do that, I'll zoom in here. Uh, the way you do that in Audacity is to have like basically select a portion of the noise without the stuff that you want to keep and go up to this effect thing here also and do noise removal and repair. I usually do noise reduction. There's other ways of doing it too. If you go to noise reduction, you can click on get noise profile. So there's like step one, step two, right? The step one is to get noise profile. You need to have a portion of the sample selected. So you click on that, and what it does is it looks at what you have selected. Um, Remembers all the different frequencies of sound that are happening in that part of that you selected. And then you can go and like select the whole thing and then do this effect, noise removal and repair, noise reduction again. And then instead of clicking noise profile, it has it remembered now, memorized or whatever. And you can just click on OK. You can mess around with these settings if you would like. And you click OK, and it should reduce the um, frequencies that it had detected in that audio file. And actually, that's probably not enough because I sort of overdid the fake noise. So let's change the noise reduction from 6 dB to like, I don't know, 12, um, and see what that sounds like. Hi, my name is Mark. So, and then, you'll have done it to this as well. And this is actually part of that one and everything. So let's pretend I've gone and this is the actual audio file you have. So that's how you do noise reduction. I think that's all you need to know. I'm going to try to take this video file now and append it to the other video file so that you just have one video file to watch. Okay, bye.